Johnny Browaeys is a corporate and social entrepreneur who's been working with Chinese enterprises, startups, and large corporations in China since 2003. He loves pioneering new business ventures and exploring the possibilities of new tech, most of which goes over my head at the moment. Johnny practices standing meditation, excuse me, and ice bathing. He has a passion for Chinese and ancient wisdom and has developed a sense for what works in East and West and for what works for him and others. He loves coaching and strategic consulting using a unique brain hacking approach, combining Western science and Eastern wisdom to obtain flow states. His mission is to shift the balance in the global collective subconscious, bring back compassion, love, and understanding in the world and in social media, crossing the bridge between VR, virtual reality, and XR, extended reality. He loves to be a source of joy and value, connected with community he can help create joy and abundance for, and so bring those same goals into his life too, allowing him to in turn empower more people and to treat the most important people in his life, his family, like VIPs. Wonderful to have you, Johnny. Welcome, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Kirsty. I'm honored to be here. And I actually see many names in the group here that I've been talking with in the past, at least a few. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for being here. Just like to acknowledge that and really show that I appreciate all of this is happening. So I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I would like to say is that although I'm using the word hacking, this is something that is not like hacking as a breaking inside, but simply as hacking as in learning to work with your own body, brain, and mind in the most natural way. Because there's different ways of doing that. You can do this, for example, by using technology, which we're not really going to talk much about today, but that is possible. And we can talk about it if you want. But there are also very natural ways of doing that. And we have seen many teachers that are all presenting great processes that have amazing skills to already use their emotions to feel people. And that is actually a set of skills that we all have. And some of us, a lot of us, simply have lost that ability, but we are all born with it. So until the age of 3, basically we are in that state and doing that. So the 3-step process is just going to talk about your body, your brain, and your mind. But the methodologies that you use can be from anyone. So several teachers that have spoken before that have explained their methodology have methodologies that can help with the 3 steps. And that's something that I really want everybody to be aware of, because all this can be integrated. And this actually allows us for working together in any way we want. So it's a very simple, practical framework. And there's 3 parts I'm going to talk about today. One is a quick introduction in theory. I'm going to go very quickly like this because I don't want to spend too much time on it. Then I want to give you a 7-minute taste of what it means to get into your natural state. And then thirdly, I'm going to explain a little bit about what in the 3-step approach, when we apply that, what we in fact are doing. So that actually allows you to grab some questions if you have any. And at the very end, will share a few things that I'm happy to share with you, things that you can try out already. So because I like to offer some value to everybody who is joining this conference. Okay, so very quickly, something happened to me in university. I failed in my exercises, and I wasn't very happy about that. I didn't know that, but I probably have dyscalculia. I turn around numbers and things like that. And the professor basically got me, and he was looking at me with not a nice face. And then he looked at my theory and he said, what are you writing here? I asked him, is it wrong? He said, I'm not saying it's wrong, he said, but we didn't teach it this way. So how do you get with this? I apologize, saying I'm not good at remembering things. So how did you come to that? Well, I'll use some logic. Explain me your logic. And I started to explain that I find it interesting that if you basically put time on top of or below distance, you get speed. And if you put time below that, you get acceleration. And you can play with all kinds of dimensions in ways that you even can't imagine them. Because how can you imagine electromagnetism in a circular space and things like that? But you can use mathematics to understand them in dimensions beyond our thinking. And then you can simply use the same principles and you cut them all off, and then you have zero. So I thought this made sense because I saw that the pendulum does this and an atom does that. And I saw these connections. And he looked at me and he said, do you know what this means? And he showed me a little book and it says 4.3. I said, yeah, that's my score for exercises. Yeah, but do you know what it means? I fail, because he had the reputation to fail people if you fail for exercise. And he said, do you know why, Mr. Browaeys? Do you know why I can't let you pass? And I said, no, I was very small. He said, you know, you are an engineer, right? So if you're going to build a bridge, you make calculations, your bridge is going to collapse and people are going to die. So I can't let you pass. But I haven't seen this, he said, before, what you wrote here. And I'm quite amazed about this. So I'm going to make a deal with you. I'm going to give you a maximum for theory. So your score is going to be very good. And you promise me you never build bridges. Because remember, if you build bridges, people will die. But you're going to find the people who are able to build the bridges, and you're going to tell them all the bridges you have in your mind, because you see bridges nobody else can see. So I like the idea that you can see things if you can go inside, because I felt it. I wasn't really thinking about it. And then my story started. So I became a person that builds bridges with other people. And this is, by the way, also how I met Kirsty. And I've told her the first time I met, I feel you, okay? So anything you ever do, you call me. So anyway, professionally, I have a career. I'm running a company in clean energy. I work in the European Chamber. I work with the Tsinghua University on building an innovation hub between Europe and China on innovative collaboration. But I also practiced 3-step flow coaching, which I discovered a few years ago. I'm working with biotech solutions, doing this in VR with neuroscience. I've been working with small companies, big companies, Chinese companies, European companies, and I spent most of my time in China. So that's enough about me. Now we go into the acceleration phase. Okay, theory, very quickly. So knowledge and wisdom, how can you compare them? Well, actually, it's very simple. Science uses a principle where it uses a model, and at some stage, you always use the model to prove things. And then at some stage, the model no longer works, and then you have to find a smart person that says, you know what? I think the model sometimes somewhere misses something. Okay, we upgrade the model. Now, wisdom is something totally different. It is feeling things, seeing things that are out there that you can actually feel intuitively. There's ways to do that. That's what we talk about. And then by experience, you know that it is like that, and therefore you apply it. So I discovered in China in 2015, when my Chinese wife was telling me, hey, I want to teach you standing meditation, that some weird things started happening because my body started healing from some of the chronic things that I was having. And I started getting insights and things that I said, wow, where is this coming from? And I asked my teacher, so can you explain this to me? Like, what is happening in my body? Because you tell me things and they happen. So, and the Huan I Ching was the predecessor of the Chinese traditional medicine. But the I Ching, the Book of Change, was basically what Carl Gustav Jung had used for the collective unconscious. And I saw that there were similarities with quantum mechanics. So again, my mind started thinking in terms of bridges. I got very excited. I said like, okay, so you simply can use a phone number or the distance between my eyes and my ears, and then you ask me things, and then you can tell me these things that I can't understand how you know them about me. How does that work? And he said, oh, go and do more standing meditation. I said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I promise you, but can you explain me? I said, yeah, do more standing meditation. And I got very frustrated. I thought he wasn't willing to share with me, but later I realized that I wasn't supposed to cognitively try and grasp it, because then I would be caught by the scientific models. I was supposed to experience it, because then I would be able to think out of the box and not think anything impossible possible. And that's when I started discovering, like, wow, okay. So when I'm changing things in my body, I am a genetic engineer. So can I explain this? So I went back in my courses and I found out that some of the things that I knew in the 90s, because I got the insights from lucid dreams. I didn't know I was lucid dreaming, but I was lucid dreaming. And I talked about these things with my professor, and he was saying, yeah, these are theories, very interesting theories. So in the same way I was having these theories, now it's science. It's called epigenetics. So I won't go in detail, but we can if you like. But in epigenetics, you basically are able to change virtually everything in your body by changing your perception, changing your emotion, and so on. The key message here, very simply, is fear and anger is very unhealthy because it destroys your body, and love and compassion is amazing because it does wonders to your body and your abilities. So, and again, I started to connect some bridges, and I realized that the chakras and the nerve endings in your body, they basically have similar functions. So without going into detail, there's basically similarity between what you have in the East and the West on how the mind, the body, and the subconscious work together, because there's intuition, there's emotion, and there is cognitive function. And the way it works in the West. And then the interesting part is energy and immunity. So I'm not sure if you know this, but every cell in your body has mitochondria, which are the little factories of the cell, which used to be bacteria that moved into the other cells and became organelles in the other cells. Now, these are the ones that are managing your immunity. This is one of the things I was thinking about that time. Now, not only the immunity, but also the energy. And it's very interesting. You can actually access and work with this mitochondria to tap into energy. Now, in the East, we call that chi. And there's different forms of energy, and you can actually now measure that you accumulate these energies in certain parts of your body. So the key message is, with your mind, actually you can control your body, but it happens via the subconscious. That's important to realize. So when you, for example, in a meditative state, and we go in the later states a bit further in detail, then you can access certain amounts of energy that you've accumulated in the body. But you first need to find peace. We come back to that. Now, the nervous system. So the nervous system communicates in various different ways. Some parts are chemical, but this is an amazing part. There's also a part which is quantum chemical. So in every nerve ending, every nerve cell where the synapses are, there's microtubuli, and these are tunneling. There's electron tunneling happening, quantum tunneling happening when you're conscious. So there's several theories again about this, but these are where they are relating consciousness with quantum tunneling. Now, this is happening everywhere in the world, in every living thing, even in not living things. But again, in certain states in your brain, you can access the way this is happening, and this is where you're putting intention into the field. So I'm going to let you listen to this. This is where people are recording the quantum tunneling in the brain. It's kind of surprising. When I heard it, I became emotional.
This is the sound of microtubules inside a neuron singing. It takes about a minute and a half. So you can see here he's sweeping the frequency. This is down converted because it would be too fast to actually hear. So this gives the idea that there are vibrational resonances going on inside neurons due to the microtubules. So these are measuring from the microtubule bundles inside neurons, and these triplets occur every several orders of magnitude. Now the high-pitched one. Hang on. I'm not sure what this really means, but it's kind of nice, and a lot of people really like it. But it's basically what's going on inside our neurons all the time due to these vibrational resonances. And one point I want to make is that consciousness is more like music than computation. Okay. So that's going on.
Okay, I'll leave it here. But you know, this is your brain singing. And not only your brain, this is your heart singing, the synapses, and this is your gut singing, all the nerve endings. And they're communicating not only via the vagus nerves, but even with people outside, because this is a quantum tunneling. This is not located in space and time. So this is where you basically are able to carry on intention and energy. So the key message really is here that perception is actually not reality, not only reality, but it creates reality. But again, so this is a little bit quick theory. Even people have their frequencies with their brain and with their heart. They have certain frequencies. When they have different emotions, these frequencies change. When they are close with each other, or whether they have a relationship, when they have interaction, these start resonating with each other. So people basically have brain frequencies. Different brain frequencies allow you to get into different states, whether this is creative, collaborative, and so on. But the theta one is interesting because the frequency is the same as the earth frequency. So that's what you, for example, in Mindful, you will learn with Jose da Silva. This is where you can put an intention in a wave, like a radio wave, which is on the same frequency as the earth. In the same way, like lightning stays within the atmosphere, that's the same thing with your brain. So the key message here is that the brain state influences your interaction with reality. So when I told this to my son, he said, "Hey, Dad, that's very much like Star Wars." Because when they talk about the Jedi, they have like these little things in their cells, which are the energy. And this is affect the same. Good. So that was a quick course of theory, very quick. And I'm going to give you a meditation break of one of the teachers that works with us on the next 3-step course. And this is a very simple meditation. So I just want you to sit down and relax. You ideally put your feet on the ground, but you can do anything you like. You can lie down if you prefer. But I just want you to experience how things feel different when you simply become aware. What is the difference between attention, which is what we always do? We always have attention to things, and how you shift when you move from attention to awareness. A simple meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes and to be together and to experience a short meditation.
Hello and welcome. I'm going to lead you in an exercise called Point, Path, and Field to distinguish the difference between attention and awareness. This distinction between attention and awareness is critically important in meditation and in awakening. And it's so basic and fundamental to our everyday experience as a human. And yet most of us have never thought about what attention really is and how it might differ from the luminous awareness that's seemingly in the background of experience. This exercise will help you experience this difference for yourself and become more familiar with awareness. So let's begin with attention. Attention is like an arrow from your mind to a focal object, like your finger. So you can do this right now, holding up your finger in front of you and focus on the fingertip. And notice that it feels like there's a you in your head looking at your finger and shining a light there. This is the most ordinary way that most of us look at objects all throughout our day. Now let's experience this fingertip in a different way from awareness. So unhook from your thinking mind and allow a bubble of awareness to travel down your head and through your arm and into your finger, resting so that you feel the sensations of the finger from within the finger. So this is experiencing a new type of knowing the finger from within. Feeling the sensations, aliveness of the finger from within. This is direct knowing of your finger from within. Now expand this knowing slowly to be aware of your entire finger from within as a line from the base of your finger to the fingertip. Just notice that you can expand this awareness within and feel the whole finger. And notice how that feels. You might feel and notice more sensations in your finger in the old way, the so-called normal way that we look at an object from behind our eyes. Now let's expand your awareness to be aware of the space around your finger and notice how that feels. Notice that you can bring the space into the foreground and the feeling of the finger itself recedes into the background. Can you feel any boundary between your finger and the space around it? Notice that when awareness knows your finger from within, it's not referring to a mental image of your finger, but it's simply feeling the space and aliveness of the sensations of your finger with no clear boundary between finger and the surrounding space. Now, see if you can know the finger from space. If you're not sure what this means, that's fine. Don't go back to the thinking mind to check if you're doing it right. Just trust you understand and see what happens. And as you're exploring knowing the finger from space, see if you can find any edges or boundaries to this space. Expand your awareness out to the wider field. How far can awareness of space expand? Do you find any edges or boundaries to this space? Is it limited by the room? Are there any limits at all? Now slowly return your local awareness back to the finger itself, feeling the length of the finger from within, then back to the tip of the finger, knowing the tip of the finger from within. And then just notice and reflect on your experience of attention versus awareness. And I encourage you to practice this throughout your day. You can use different objects in the room and play with the ideas of attention and awareness and see what you find. I thank you so much for joining me in this experience. I wish you unbound clarity, love, and joy for your day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody that feels the need to share something, the desire, what it was? It's a very simple shift in awareness, but actually it's a natural state of awareness. And in this natural state of awareness, you perceive so much more than when you just try to focus on something, because you become aware of it. And when you become aware of it, there is no it. You just become aware. And when you go deeper into this, then you start to realize that your essence is awareness, your self-awareness. Okay. Please see. Okay. I saw some comments. I'm happy to see that people enjoyed it. I hope the volume was loud enough. But okay, good. So now we go into the second part. So how does it work, the 3 steps? Well, the 3 steps is working with your mind, your body, and your subconscious. And in order to be able to work with your body and your subconscious, it's important to find inner peace. Now, inner peace, when it is lacking, it is often related to things from the past, the programming. Well, many will call it limiting beliefs or something like that. These can be conscious when they are after 7, they can be emotional between 3 and 7, or they can be actually intuitive, precognitive when they're before 3. And rearranging them needs to happen in the same state as in which they were programmed. Now, inner peace can also be related to things inside of you or outside of you. This can be contextual or can be related to you. And they can also be related to who it is that you are, or what is your purpose. Now, there are different methodologies for digging into these. And the key thing is, once you've found those 2, then it's about articulating your life. This is what is, for example, in the Silva also important. You need to get clarity before you can start manifesting it. But in step 1, this is what I would call more conventional coaching, or what you would see a lot in the coaching, but in depth, not just going into the conscious, but in the subconscious. The second step is, once you have found that peace and you can then become more aware of your body, that's when you can start discovering energy. In the same way, like when we simply discovered something like you can feel your finger by being aware of it, you can become aware of energy in your body in many different ways. And there are strong, fast ways, there are soft, subtle ways. But the key thing is that you learn to discover them and then to work with them by imagination and visualization, observation, and to then access that energy so that you can use it for a certain purpose, whether it is within your body or whether it is outside of your body. Now, then you are able, in step 3, to work with your subconscious to access that energy. So working with your subconscious, for example, is something that Da Silva does. But I always like to say, if you combine these 3, you combine it with the energy, it's like a Da Silva on speed. I've experimented with Da Silva in many other ways, and it's amazing how it actually accelerates the effects of what you can get done with conventional methodologies like Psyche or Da Silva and so on. Now, but it's the same thing. It is a matter of first getting the inner connection, and we start this in step 1. That's part of the inner peace. But once you have that inner connection, you can actually start communicating with your subconscious. Your subconscious can start guiding you. And the subconscious is also the one that is the bridge between who you are as an individual and the field. And in the field, I like to always say this is where your higher conscious, your superconscious resides, because it is part of the field, but it's only via your subconscious and your unconscious that you connect with it. So this is when you start playing with certain processes going into from alpha to theta and then into delta, into sleep state. Now, this is also what you see in the Monroe Institute with the gateway experiences experiments. But the key thing is you work with the subconscious to access the energy in step 2, to manifest that what is that you want to be in step 1. So you basically learn to use your energy. This is on a personal level. You can use this for growing as a person, growing in relationships, and so on. Now, I always like to say it in a very simple way. Step 1 is seeing the light, because you find peace. Suddenly you see the light. Step 2 is all about building the energy, because when you build energy, you turn light into a laser. And step 3 is kind of using your subconscious to turn that laser on a certain objective, the focus. Now, you can use it for business as well in a very simple way. Step 1 is working around business intuition, innovation, creativity. This can be emotional intelligence with your people, but this can also be understanding where the markets are going, how to develop the business. Power planning, because you not only grow your charisma, but you are also really understanding like how it is that you can increase manifestation and engage with people beyond the conventional communication, but energetically. And rapid strategic execution is a matter of combining the old-fashioned ways that corporations will do, strategic execution, but rapid as in accelerated again by tapping into the amazing things that your brain can do when you go into subconscious. So I like to say that the 3 steps basically help you to do anything you like, depending where you are. Because if you are already clear on who you are, what you want, then the 3 steps are like a boost. They just help you to accelerate. On the other hand, if you feel lost in life or relationship, career, or business, again, as I mentioned, it can be internal, external, but it all starts with checking your authenticity. So this is really the basic to start the 3 steps. And it's amazing what you can learn if you check your own authenticity. Many people are not even aware how authentic or not authentic they are in how they look at themselves, how they learn about themselves, how they interact with others, or what they do. So I'm very happy to share with you the authenticity test. You can drop an email. I'm also happy to share the templates from the strategic execution system. And if you like to do something together, coaching-wise, I work with Tiantian and a few other people to develop courses that groups can do, but I also always work with maximum 3 to 5 people that I will work with personally. And I do this myself also energetically connected. That means I need to be able to like the person so that I can really engage personally in what that person wants to achieve. The second is I also need to really feel excited about what the person wants to achieve, because then I can again energetically really give myself. And of course, I need to see that I can create value for the person, because I also want to make sure that there's a return on the investment for that person. So I think we still have a bit time left for questions, but this is what I wanted to share with you.
And I'm just going to jump in first of all also, Johnny, and say, don't forget, you're coming for a masterclass and mini workshop. So, so yes, absolutely. Please contact Johnny if you want to in the meantime, but he's definitely going to be back with Conscious Connections once we get our workshop program going. Do we have any questions?
I have a question. This is Celeste here. I'm just wondering how we know what happens when we're 3 years old. How do we know that?
Well, you don't know it, but you remember it. And it typically is remembered in the body. It is remembered in terms of intuitive fear or intuitive connection with circumstances, with things, and typically there are like 3 triggers. So if, for example, sometimes you suddenly have like agoraphobia, like afraid of large places or small places or certain people, it is because it's imprinted in your subconscious. And it only requires 3 elements that come back, for example, a red color and a certain shape and a certain feeling. And then you basically short circuit. And from psychological perspective, it's very interesting. This is like trauma psychology. You can see that the person then, if they get triggered somehow, they start in that specific item to go back into the age where it was programmed. So it's very fascinating to see how you can see a grown-up person deal in a way that they are like 15 or 7 or 5 or even like less than 3 in dealing with certain issues that they totally short circuit. So how you can see it? Well, how you can preserve it for yourself, notice from yourself, it is when you get triggered by something. And if you don't know exactly what it is, and if it's not even emotional, but deeper, then it's before 3. But then you also need to work before 3. So I once worked with an executive, an Italian lady based in Germany while I was in China, to bring her back into that state. And we just discovered like that something happened at that age. And it was amazing because she is an executive working between Europe, China on the Europe investment deal. And she's so strong. She's such a strong lady. But there were certain circumstances that she would suddenly become a very little girl and so vulnerable. But she knew what she wanted. And now she basically is beyond that. Because once she realized it, it wasn't gone, but then she could start implementing some simple processes before she went to sleep, go back into certain things that we went through. She could call upon that. Then you start using some principles of NLP, psychology, but in a matter of a couple of months, it got reprogrammed more internally. Now, this is the typical way with NLP or psychology. You can do other ways as well. You can go, with psychedelics, or if you don't like psychedelics, you can go with neuroscience to actually copy the psychedelic experiences. But you can even use certain energy methodologies, such as the Huna tradition in Hawaii or some other psyche. This is very interesting. So there's all different ways to deal with that. But the key thing always is you work with your own body, your own mind, and your own subconscious. So, and all these methodologies that are out there, I've been listing hundreds of methodologies. Not all of them I master. I only master a few of them, but I know others who can. And I'm very eager to get to know as many coaches as possible, because all what you do, every one of you, you fit somehow in the 3 steps. And what I hope you to discover is that you see that if you combine whatever you do with the others where needed, so that you cover mind, body, and subconscious, the effects you're going to have are amazing. And I basically am preparing to bring this also as workshops for helping entrepreneurs to collaborate, to innovate together. It's innovative collaboration to bring, well, in first instance, Chinese and Europeans together, but it's globally. And I do feel we need this, because when we're doing this, we engage. And when we do this on a subconscious level, we're energetically manifesting the future. I'm not sure if you know this, but Carl Gustav Jung saw the Holocaust coming from analyzing the dreams of his patients. You see, they saw this coming. In the same way, when we engage people in a positive way to collaborate, to innovate, to be together, then we are putting so much power in reconnecting the people. So then hopefully the anti-social media becomes social media again, and people become collaborative again. So we just work together from the heart, the gut, and then from the mind to figure out how to do it.
Wow, thank you. That was very interesting.
Thank you for the question.
Any more comments or questions? Got time for one more, I think.
Thank you all for being so amazing, for being natural. if there's one thing that I really appreciated with this conference, Kirsty and Julia and everybody here, is that it's been so down to earth, so natural. You're just paving your own road while you're walking, and that's beautiful.
Antonia? Unmute, darling.
Mute myself. I don't have a question, but I do have a comment that I really enjoyed your presentation, Johnny. As a practitioner of Tai Chi and Qigong for 10, 12 years, something like that now, and teacher of it, I was super fascinated. I love the meditation. By the way, I could hear the person's voice, a voice so clearly, and I could actually close my eyes and really felt, the whole experience. But the thing about energy and healing, it is so true, because 12 years ago, I was suffering from a lot of different illnesses, and I found out I had sleep apnea, and which was really bad, a real bad case of sleep apnea. And I started practicing Qigong and Tai Chi, and my lungs got stronger. Of course, I've lost my voice a little bit from talking so much over the years, but my lungs got stronger, and I've healed in so many ways, and I can still feel energy flowing through me. I can use my mind now, because I've been doing it for so long, my mind to just send it when I have at my age, especially aches and pains somewhere, I can send energy. Sometimes I do the movements and practice the different forms, but just with the mind, it's amazing. And I don't have the scientific explanation for those things, but I do feel it. So thank you for your presentation.
If you feel it, you own it more than when you know it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, a quickie from Georgia before we finish.
Again, it's an observation and a comment. I absolutely loved everything you said, and I've heard it in different forms from so many teachers, and I know it's true, and it's the application. I think every different explanation speaks to different people and helps them apply it in a slightly different way, because something else will click. But I broke my finger, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, and I've had a problem with this finger too. They're both ring fingers, and energetically, I've looked up Yvette Rose, and it's to do with identity, and pardon?
Triple warmer as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's to do with the pericardium as well. Anyway, when I first had the accident, I did energy releasing on the trauma straight away. And actually the bruising only lasted a week, even though it was broken. And it was black and blue, and it spread all the way down my hand. And it was energy and intention that helped it heal so quickly. And I just, I think what you've said and how you presented it was spot on, really, because there's just so many ways of application, and I've actually got to a very calm place. Mostly in my life, I was fairly anxious and have potentially suffered with depression, and actually most of the time I'm feeling very peaceful and calm now, and that's through applying energy work and releasing traumas and the past, and also feelings in the body. When you feel something or think of something, if you feel where it is in your body, you can then release that sensation, which will take the trauma away. But to your point about the behaving like a child, I was on a course, I did a workshop in August, and I literally regressed to something like 3 years old. I had a mini tantrum, not like a stamping, but it was that panic that was coming up. And the tutor said to me, how old are you? How old are you now? And I was something like 5 years old, and it was something to do with parental something that happened. I can't remember now. So it's absolutely true, because I was perfectly fine sitting there, nothing was wrong, and then suddenly this panicked child came out. And I think it's true that a lot of who we are is learnt from when we were conceived to when we were about 7. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Georgia. Yeah, who we think we are. Yeah. Yeah, there's loads. Again, 45 minutes was too short. And I did feel like we had a very rapid download of like a quantum physics lesson. And I love all that stuff, but I need a little bit more time to kind of absorb all of that. Will we be able to share the slides from that presentation, Johnny?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
They're yours.
Love you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
we'll talk about that later, but I
just-
think that would
yeah.
be, I'd like to be able to have a look at them with a bit more time. And like I say, definitely would like you to come along and spend a bit more time talking, because you've got such a wealth of knowledge in lots of different areas. I think I definitely think people want to hear what you've got to say. But thank you so much for coming.
I just wanted to acknowledge I just want to very quickly acknowledge Tian because she's in the call and it's later. I just want you to know what happens when you work with people together. So what I did the first time in English was okay. When I did it in Chinese, when she chewed through it and kind of worked with all these procedures and methodologies deeper, she upgraded it. So I have utmost respect for Tian and utmost appreciation. So when you work together, things become better than when you have something alone. And that's what I really hope also to see at this conference, is all of us kind of help each other to make each other better.
Activating our superpowers. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Johnny, thank you.
Yeah.